too.
That's their sense of humor. Like, it's one of those, like, I know I can't watch
Hey,
it.
are we okay? Try and get these lights on for me, please. Right. Episode 19. That one, I think we turned off and it was better because it wasn't, that gave too much color on the whiteboard.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. All right. You ready?
Yep.
British 6th Airborne, by the way, Pegasus. All right. 3, 2. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 19 of The Complete Game with Curt and Garrick Schilling. What's up, Jake?
What's going on, everybody?
We had some fun last couple of days. A couple of conversations around some guys. Mick Abel, Phillies, made his debut and beat Paul Skenes 1-0. And we're going to talk in depth. I went back and watched every pitch of Abel's outing and charted it. And there's some underlying stuff that's just going to, I guess, reinforce some of the things that I've been talking about. And you know what? We'll just dive right into it. So, Mick Abel drafted, I think 15th overall, I think 15th overall or 9th overall by the Phillies in 20. Came out of high school, big arm, Hall of Fame caliber arm. In much the same vein, we're talking about Chase Dollander with the Rockies. He meets up in his day. He gets called up. Aaron Nola hurt, and he gets his first start in the big leagues. His family's in Philly. It was really fun to watch. He beats Paul Skenes 1-0. Skenes throws a complete game, and his ERA drops to 2.4 or something, and he's I think 3-5 or 3-6. But Abel goes 6, punches out 9, doesn't walk anybody. It throws 89 pitches, and just a dominant line. However, and I'm going to refuse to be that counterpoint guy just because everybody takes a counterpoint. Watching the outing, and like I said, I went back I watched every pitch and I charted every pitch. And something became blatantly obvious in the first, second inning. And it's something that we've talked about. Mick Abel was in Double-A last year. I think he had 78 walks in 130 innings. We were talking about the other day. Cut his walk rate, and I'm using air quotes here, down to just around 4 per 9, which is still not good.
But cut in half for him.
Cut in half, yes. And what did I tell you? Control is the ability to throw strikes. Which he didn't have last year, 2 years ago. And command is the ability to move the ball around the strike zone. You remember I was drawing that strike zone with, So this is Mick Abel's outing from my perspective. And I'll make this make sense to you, right? Let's just not lose sight of the fact that this is the line that matters. He went 6, struck out 9, he won 1-0, he threw 84 pitches, he looked phenomenal, had an amazing day. I couldn't be happier for the kid. However, right now, this kid is a thrower. Upper 90 stuff, phenomenal slider, a better slider than I ever thought of having. Great, good changeup. But I could have made this very same chart in many ways for Paul Skenes. And so if you look at this chart, this is the strike zone for the most part, right? And black are fastballs and blue are breaking balls and changeups. And there was somebody commenting about the fact that they thought that Abel or Dollander looked a lot like Jacob deGrom in his mechanics, which is not true, because Hollander is a max effort, stands up at the end of his delivery. Abel's the same thing. Goes back to this insatiable appetite and lust for velocity, which has gotten to the point now where it's become detrimental to pitching. And it's the reason you're seeing all the injuries. The reason you're seeing a seismic change. And I think it's going to take, I'll use the Moneyball term, I think it's going to take a Moneyball-esque pivot by somebody to fix this. So what this is Mick Abel's, and let me just say that I thought Rafael Marchand, the catcher, did a really good job around the strike zone. However, all of these pitches were thrown with the catcher setting up with his glove in the middle of the plate. So on this pitch here, his glove was there. On this pitch, that so we talk about the strike zone. I talked about the 4 quadrants that you want to use. You want to use the corners. You want to stay out of the middle. Notice a couple things. So here's the thing. Until I think he will get it. But once he understands finish and extension to the plate, I think Paul Skenes is the same way. I think Dalton is the same way. If somebody can get them in their hands and not change their mechanics, but kind of add to their mechanics. If you notice, as a right-hander, so he's throwing from this side of the strike zone. All of these blues are almost all of them, but maybe 1 or 2 are his slider. He is not going to. The sliders over here were up in the zone, or he missed really bad. It's nearly impossible to work his slider to both sides of the plate with the delivery where you stand and don't finish. But if you notice, and here's why this matters. He could go 8-1 and have a 2 ERA and have a year like Skenes had last year because he has plus stuff. But there's no consistency here. There's not going to be consistency. And in the strike zone, he now has control. He can throw strikes, right? That's why the walk rate is down. But you can't pitch here in the big leagues. I don't care how hard you throw. Now, these guys have seen him for the first time. This stuff looks different. But the fact of the matter is, you have to work. And the analogy I use is if I were to throw 100 fastballs to this box right here in a game, I would throw 80% of my fastballs in this box. Right? He's throwing 80% of his he was in and around here, I think, 4 times with his fastball. But all of his breaking balls ended up there because they can't really end up anywhere else with that delivery. He has to actually make a mechanical mistake to throw a breaking ball to the side of the plate with his delivery. He lifts some balls up and down, but you tend to want to stay out of the middle here. But like I said, I would tell you, if a guy with command will throw 100 balls and 80 of them will end up inside this box, right? And then maybe 10 will end up outside the box, a couple down here, might throw a couple up there. But very few of them are going to go that way when they miss for a guy that can command the strike zone. And the same thing with this box for a left hand. And all this is to say that unlike Dollander in the sense that Mick has had a lot more but he had 80 or 90 more minor league innings and it's been kind of a slower progression. But, and again, I know this sounds like I'm nitpicking, and I am from a detail, but
well, I'll just interject to say, like, from a perspective of you, where like you're talking about what he has to do. He had a great start. This is a great start you're talking about.
Phenomenal
start. You're not degrading that, but
no.
It's about and why you're harping on the walks and mistakes. It's minor mistakes like that at the major league level, like this chart that you're looking at, if you're on YouTube, every single hitter in Major League Baseball has this now. And that's a successful start for Mick Abel.
Right.
So that's only a month away from being figured out that all your mistakes are right in that little area.
Well, here's what happens then. What happens, because there is, like the NFL, right? You saw it, video. We have video of everything. Hitters will now come to the plate not having to worry. So I got a lot of swings. I had a game in San Francisco in San Francisco. I was in the 5th inning. I had 59 pitches. I had thrown 5 balls. But I had only thrown probably 35 to 40 pitches actually in the strike zone. But I was getting strikes because everybody was expecting me to throw strikes. The video shows you as a hitter, until I get 2 strikes, I don't have to. I'm going to get a fastball that I can hit. Now I can't miss because it's 97, right? Which is where that's why a guy, if he throws 88, he's in AAA with a 9 ERA after the start.
Yeah.
He's throwing upper 90s. So you get away with this. Now I'll get away with pitches here, 1 here and 1 here, and I'll get chases here. Power guys, you'll get chases here. Watching Skenes' scatter was insane in the sense, like, he would have a ball he wanted to get to this corner, and he would fire it up over here and get a swing and a miss because it was 101. Those things cover up the lack of polish, I guess is what I'm saying. There's more polish needed, and it's hard to get it in the big leagues. But
so what my point, what I was trying to say is, so like what you're talking about, these pitches that he gets away with because he throws 97.
Right.
What I'm saying hitters have access to is that now you can physically see that in a major league start, 11 strikes that he got away with in this start clearly were right down the middle of the plate. And there's 16 across the middle of that zone in total, but 11 of them are dead center. And
middle.
You'll get away with that. Like you said, you throw 97, but guys learn that.
But you'll get away with it when guys haven't seen it. They're seeing it for the first time.
Guys will learn that.
Right.
Especially guys that play in your division or play in the same, like, what is it, conference?
Right, the same league. Yep. And you'll still get chases, but you'll get them less and less and less. Because as a hitter, I don't have to be worried about you painting me. If you paint me, these pitches, again, his catcher's set up right here on just about every single pitch. So if his glove's sitting here, he's reaching all over the strike zone to catch these balls. Excuse me. And Marchand did a great job. I really love what he did at the bottom of the zone. I actually reached out to a couple guys that caught in the big leagues and asked them what they thought. And the response was that he did a very good job of bringing the ball back into the strike zone. But again, so if I don't ever think except for a breaking ball or a split, I would have my catcher maybe set up here. But every single fastball I ever threw, my catcher, his crotch was split in this corner or this one. I'm not trying to throw the ball here. I don't want my catcher sitting there. But like I said, the one of the bigger points of this is, you see all those balls in the middle, but look at where almost all of his quality sliders end up. Very, and again, we talked about and for those of you that are listening, we talked about the clock, right? And 12 o'clock being at the top and 6 o'clock being at the bottom, 3 o'clock being on the right, 9 o'clock being on the left. The tight slider goes from 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock. The really good slider will go from 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock. It'll break down. And he's got a power slider. Good curveball, good change. It's funny, I can remember, it's hard to see a guy, I kind of laugh seeing a guy throw a changeup at 92. Like, it just doesn't, but guys react to it.
That did not exist when I was growing up.
No, but you see guys react to it like it's 85 because they're trying to defend 100. But so again, phenomenal outing. Congratulations, kid. You've got an enormous future ahead of you. There's just work to be done. I don't feel bad saying it because I was trying to find and work.
I don't think you're saying anything he doesn't know.
No, but that's where I come off of that game and I say to him, listen, look at that start. God bless you. That was amazing. But let's take a look at what happened inside that game and realize that you just did that for the most part on just stuff alone.
Yeah, I was going to say on God-given ability.
On just stuff. Now, think about, think about that 97, because you're not going to lose velocity. You might gain a little bit. Think about throwing that 97 8 out of 10 times to the corners. Now you go from 6 innings, 5 hits, 9 punch outs to 7 2/3, 13 punch outs, 2 hits. That's where, and then you start contending for a Cy Young every year. And I'm seeing so many guys that do that. And I got to tell you, if you guys are fans of a team that has a guy that's a hard thrower, the name that came to mind I was thinking about is James Tyon with the Cubs. When he came up with the Pirates, I remember him just having this just monstrously electric arm, and the strikeouts didn't come with it. And I couldn't figure out why. And that's one of the reasons. When you have a guy who has a live arm and throws really hard and doesn't get fastball, doesn't get strikeouts or a lot of swings and misses, it's because A, he's either a power sinker guy, or B, he doesn't have command inside the strike zone. And so, but anyway, congratulations to him. Sorry to Paul Skenes. That had to be a tough one. He's
I mean, you've had years like that, you know?
Oh, yeah, yeah, never with stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, same thing though, if you watch Skenes, he's the same way, and people are gonna say you're crazy, but the fact of the matter is, underneath the numbers is a guy who isn't even remotely polished mechanically. He is a hard max effort thrower. And that's the game has taken that on. And it's gonna take somebody, yeah, because I think to change this philosophy, you have to approach the draft with an eye towards some other different stuff. Draft, and you have to have a process from the ground up that teaches these guys, because again, they're not bad mechanics, they're just not complete, they're not finished, which is literally what these guys need, is finished. They're all standing straight up and it's impossible to locate, it's impossible to maximize your velocity and command your fastball and locate it from an upright position. So yeah, that was the talk. But again, hats off to Mick. What it was fun to watch the family, because he struck out Cruz to lead off the game on a wicked slider, and the dad was all jumping around, high-fiving everybody. Yeah. So that was fun to watch. And the Philly bullpen came in, which, by the way, the Philly bullpen is now short a big piece. As Jordan Romano gets caught using PEDs, which, I mean, really, I mean, you know, I don't even know what to say about that, other than I can't believe it's still happening, knowing full well these guys are testing. So a little adversity in Philadelphia, but they'll fix it, figure it out. What do you got for me this week, G?
We got a couple of questions.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
So this is from Sam, once again on YouTube. And it asks, who is the best ball hitter you've ever faced? I actually also have an answer for this one too.
Right. The best bad ball hitter, right?
Yeah, like a ball.
Yeah, the best bad ball hitter I ever faced.
Non-strike, you should not swing at this ball. How the hell is that going into the gap in left field?
Right. There's two guys. One I barely faced, the other one I faced a ton. Kirby Puckett was the first one.
Okay.
But the one I faced routinely year in and year out in my career was Vladimir Guerrero.
Oh, that was gonna be mine. Okay. Did you see this question though? Who they mentioned?
No.
There's a great callback to Ronaldo Soriano.
Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one's gotta jump out to you.
Yeah. For those of you that I'm sure all of you know, game 7-01, I had set him up for the perfect split. I thought I threw it, and Damien
did throw it. No, it's confirmed in video. You threw it.
And I thought it was a good pitch, and he crushed it. Damien was actually on his knees to block the pitch, by the way.
I was gonna say, that is the height of baseball right there. Knowing, because he knew that somewhere in there. He didn't know a lot of English speaking words at the time, but he knew this guy throws ball that drops off table, basically.
Yeah.
But Vladimir Guerrero was going to be mine, because there's, 100 instances, the best one of all is the ball that bounced, that I think he put in the gap or hit a
hit a double.
Yeah.
He homered on another one.
He was a freak with just the arm strength, like the way he threw.
Well, the fact of the matter was, Vladimir Guerrero could homer on a ball that other people wouldn't even think about swinging at. Yeah. And that's what made it different. He was dangerous. But yeah, so Vlad was probably the best bad ball hitter I ever saw. But Kirby Puckett was apparently one of the best ever.
And then we got another one from Philip Pomerantz.
Dr. Phil.
Yeah, Dr. Phil. I know this is an abused meme, but would this be a Moneyball time for a team to go after pitchers with the characteristics you described? And as opposed to throwers without control, because they are not valued as much to build your staff. That is assuming the team has a minor league system that will coach and prepare them properly.
Yeah. That's a great question. And yes, the game has gotten away. So sabermetrics has taken the game in different directions, and I believe in a lot of it. I think a lot of it's right, a lot of it works. I think it could go deeper and be more efficient and better. I think you just saw my chart. I think that there should be a team. If I was running a pitching organization for a club, I would actually scout and have numbers on misses. Here's the glove. A miss is anytime you have to move the glove, let's say 6 inches or more. How many times does that happen on your four-seam fastball? Because you'll see that number drop as command gets better. But we talk about good miss, bad miss. If you throw a ball in the inside half part of the plate and you miss outside, that's a horrible miss. You miss inside, that's a good. I would love to see those numbers for pitchers, but somebody is going to have, yeah, and we've talked about the Rockies. My biggest fear right now is Chase Dollander, and we said this, right? Mechanically, he's the same kid he was when they drafted him 4 years ago. Mechanically. How do you go into the draft with and a couple of kids, and where I swear we're going to talk about the draft because I've been looking at video. This kid Seth Hernandez is probably going to be the first pitcher to go this year. Pure thrower. Got great stuff like they all do, but he's not a pitcher yet, and you wouldn't expect it. But the mechanics need to be now. If I'm Colorado, I'm looking at that thinking, okay, Chase Dollander, we drafted him, and my system developed a guy who looks exactly like he did when we drafted him. That's a problem. Are you going to do this? Turn around and do the same thing again with whoever you draft this year? There's a kid I love in the draft this year, and we're going to talk about him when we do. A high school kid who probably has of the 5 guys that are ranked in the top 5. He's probably got the best mechanics. But I need you have to have an organizational mindset shift to work on and develop pitchers because velocity matters is overvalued today. And pitching is undervalued. Greg Maddux threw harder in high school than he did in the big leagues intentionally because he gave away a little velocity for command because he understood how much more important command was than velocity. So, yeah, that's a good question. I do believe it's going to take a shift. I'll tell you right now, the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, what was it? 100 wins 2 years ago. I mean, they're pitching. Kyle Gibson, I don't know what's going on there. I think he might be released by the time we next have a show because, he went 9, gave up 9 in like an inning. He just did it the other day, gave up like 7 or 8 and 2/3 of an inning start. But they've got some guys injured. But in my mind, the program that I see and I think that should be designed, created, and set up for an organization, not only are your pitchers getting to the big leagues more polished, but they're getting to the big leagues healthier. And ultimately, that's the deal, right? You got that. We talk about it. Most teams won't retain their, they are not big market teams like Tampa. And so they have to get that 6-year window. They have to get maximize the value of their draft picks if they can, because those guys are going to walk. And there you can set up a scenario for any of it. But, I'm pretty comfortable that you hand me an organization's pitching problem and I could definitely create something that had a long shelf life and like fundamental foundations that would just be kind of a pitching factory. I don't care what environment you're playing in. So
cool. And then also just like on a league-wide note, I was just looking around statistically today. Do you know what the league leader in RBIs is right now? Top 5 guys, but it's just a lot of surprising names. Like there's one in there that I'm sure it comes right to your mind. Like,
is Cal Raleigh up there?
No, but I'm saying who would be the obvious one that's league leader in RBIs right now?
Oh, Judge.
Yeah, Judge.
Right.
So he's obviously in there. But the other 4 names, there's one in there that you might expect, Rafael Devers. That's the one I would.
He had another home run today.
Yeah, but Seiya Suzuki, Wilmer Flores, and Pete Crow Armstrong, 3 guys that are having an awesome year that I just kind of wanted to give some shine to because
they're
2 of those guys are playing for the Cubs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wilmer Flores on the Giants are also a surprise in that.
All 3 of those guys on my fantasy team, 2 of them as waiver pickups.
But I mean, just really like tearing the cover off the ball.
Well, the Cubs are killing it.
Yeah, the Cubs are scoring. It feels like 10 runs a game.
Yeah,
most nights. But yeah, I just wanted to give them some.
Yeah, Pete Crow Armstrong
he's fun as hell to watch.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he's like got that type of unique name that like
right.
He'll stick around even
PCA.
PCA
right.
Flash. Even if he's a flash in the pan, like people will.
But he's legit. He's a multi-tool guy.
But that's top 5 in RBI.
One of my favorite minor league highlights from the last couple of years was the one where they threw at him.
Which one?
He's in AAA, he gets thrown at, and the bench is clear. Some really stupid stuff happens, and the next pitch he hits like out of the yard.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll have to find it.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to play against you?
I'm ready.
All right.
So we had.
There was a little. You said that you got it, last
Well,
week?
I had a little bit of
You
a
got it on a
bonus
bonus
hint.
hint.
Right, but I
Okay.
still got it before you gave it to me.
Okay, all right.
Because Shonda's like, oh, I got it.
I didn't know we were giving participation trophies on the show. I should keep that in mind. So, all right, this is guess your teammate. 5 clues, going from most vague to most obvious.
Let's see if I can remember. Council, Lieberthal, Jeffries, Womack so far.
Yep. Okay. So the most vague clue. A 15-year MLB veteran. I played for 5 MLB franchises.
Greg Colburn.
Nope. I have over 1,000 hits and have played in 2 World Series for 2 separate teams.
No.
Nothing? Doesn't give you anything? Okay. A career 290 hitter with 6 seasons batting over 300, including 4 as your teammate. I was never an all-star.
Real. 6
A
seasons.
career 290 hitter.
Yeah, so he's
For
really good.
6 seasons, I batted over 300, including 4 as your teammate. Yet I was never an all-star.
Mark Grace?
Nope. A native of St. Cloud, Minnesota, I was drafted by my hometown Twins.
Oh. Jim Eisenreich.
Jim Eisenreich. Do you want to get the last clue just for fun?
Yeah.
I was replaced by a youngster by the name of Kirby Puckett while I was on voluntary leave during the 85-86 season.
And I'm pretty sure you missed the best clue ever. I hit my last career home run off you.
I feel like that's too obvious, though.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been a 2, but I did not know that. That's funny. Who's he playing for when he did that?
Marlins.
Okay. That was probably his last career, or like last home run for a while.
Last career homer.
But I'm
his
saying,
last
like,
career
he
home
hit
run.
52 in 15 years, so.
That was his last career home run.
Was that a Brett Favre, Michael Strahan situation?
In Florida. No, hell no.
I know, that's funny. Well, I know, you're my dad, so I know you didn't do that type
Right.
of stuff, but
I got to tell you, man,
not for your stat sheet.
what a player.
He had 2 in his last year.
What a player. And it was a pinch hit, I think. Was that bastard. He was in the 93 team. He was Crucky rode him all year. Yeah, I'll tell funny stories someday, but his nickname was not very nice. But
Well, it says Izzy online.
right, yeah, no, not in the clubhouse.
You're telling me you guys didn't call him that behind
No.
closed doors?
No. His nickname was actually a serial killer.
Well, I mean, I've been lucky enough to be around you guys, and he seems like an all-time
He was
vibes,
awesome.
clubhouse
And
guy.
by the way, he could probably be in the conversation of the 10 best athletes I ever played with.
I mean, how about that? Career 290 hitter,
Right.
6 seasons over 300, never made an all-star team.
Right.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah. Well, he had the disorder, the social anxiety disorder. He had to walk away from the game. Like, this guy was a star in the making.
What happened to him in 96? Why did he only play 113 games? Get hurt?
Yeah, I might have gotten hurt.
I was gonna say he had 361 that year.
Yeah.
He had 113 games.
Dude, he was legit. He could break.
But that's what I mean. From 93 to 96, he batted 318, 300 on the nose, 316, then 361 in that shortened year, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, he was legit. So, all right, guys, it's Tuesday, so we will see you guys again on Friday, and I promise you we're going to get to the draft. I'm watching videos, so I'm not going to waste that time. I want to make sure that I give you guys my thoughts coming on the draft and the top prospects and what I think of them. So, all right, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hit subscribe and spread the word.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.